The Dallas police officer who shot and killed a tenant in her apartment building has been convicted of murder. Amber Geiger's defense team insisted she thought Botham Jean was a burglar. The prosecution argued she did not have to use deadly force. Fox News correspondent CASEY STEGALL reports from the Dallas courthouse.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Amber Geiger, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment.
A guilty verdict in the Amber Geiger trial. She's the Dallas police officer who shot her upstairs neighbor when she mistook him for an intruder in her apartment, not realizing she was actually in his apartment, one floor above her own.
The tide is going to change here. Police officers are going to begin to be held accountable for their actions, and we believe that will begin to change policing culture.
The sentencing got underway just a few hours after the verdict was handed down.
During his 5 years at high school, Botham was very active.
The debate for jurors has been whether Geiger used an unreasonable amount of force. They had the option to convict her on lesser charges of manslaughter or criminally negligent homicide.
This ruling will now say that you are safe to be in your homes, and people can no longer just say, I made a mistake and took your life.
During the trial, jurors saw dramatic body camera footage showing responders trying to revive Jean as he lay bleeding on his floor. They also saw photos of a bright red doormat outside Jean's apartment, one of several indications Geiger was entering someone else's apartment, not hers. Amber Geiger now faces anywhere from 5 to 99 years behind bars. That is the latest from Dallas tonight. For Chasing News, I'm CASEY STEGALL. Bill, back to you.
Thanks, Casey. All right, let's bring in tonight's A-plus panel. We are joined by communications strategist Ronica Cleary. Good to see you, Ronica.
Thanks, Bill.
And Democratic strategist and attorney Bill Caruso. Good to see you, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Bill, as an attorney, let me start with you on this. This case seems to be way beyond race, even though you hear it put in racial terms. It was dark. She was coming into the wrong apartment. I mean, the whole thing seems so crazy. Do you think that it's a little bit extreme that she's charged with first and now convicted of first-degree murder?
I was surprised, but this is an interesting case in the sense that she was originally charged with manslaughter. I think the elements of a manslaughter offense are clearly there. But the grand jury indicted on first-degree murder, and she was found guilty on first-degree murder. That's amazing, frankly, based on these facts.
Ronica, does this seem even like maybe beyond the facts in the case and a little bit into the culture? You know, it's always talked about with white cops and black suspects, and you hear it always in those terms. Why not just isolate to what happened?
This doesn't really seem to fit into that narrative. It seems like it's forcefully fit into the narrative. And I have to say that this is more than just a crazy story. This is a really tragic story. We shouldn't lose sight of what happened by clouding it with maybe details that aren't necessarily relevant to what happened.
And before we got on set, you had mentioned something that this apartment building was notorious for people going to the wrong floor. Very confusing. If this had been her home and she saw someone sitting on her couch, she might have just been in the clear.
Different story, but again, you're held to a different standard as a police officer. She's a trained police officer. There are certain things that she should have done that she probably didn't do in this case. And the other issue came up in terms of what did she do to give care to this victim after she identified that it was a mistake, and there was some evidence to show she didn't begin CPR. That certainly weighed on this jury.
Do you think this will have a greater impact on the whole idea of defending your own turf? Because I got to say, I understand if you feel threatened that you'd use deadly force.
I don't know if you would be expected to then walk out, call for support, for backup, especially as an officer. I know that she had worked a over 13-hour shift. She was talking to her boyfriend, so she was clearly distracted. But clearly there is something in here that's compelling a lot of people to feel that she was wrong.
Okay, thanks, guys.